Jeff and Jeremy. It's like a radiogasm.
I said, hey, babe, check it out on the podcast.
Apple Podcast, Google Podcast,
and Spotify.
All this is going viral.
SwiftNet Communications poll question is over at kzoz.com. It's right on the front page there. We were asking you about the coronavirus, and how it's affected you economically. Some people have actually said they benefit. As a matter of fact,
the majority.
Looking at the results, 62.5% people say they have benefited from COVID versus broken even or been a little worse or a lot worse. Let's see, what was it? About 5% said that they were in a worse situation. And 25% said they've broken even.
So the majority of the people say they've actually benefited economically from COVID. The people answering this poll question, what are they landscaping, auto? What other businesses have flourished as a result of the coronavirus?
It's hard to say.
Home improvement, construction, building homes, real estate has done really well. I'm just trying to wrap my head around.
Well, Alex writes in and he says, and by the way, you can always text into the program if you don't have time to jump on the phone. We'd love to have you actually talk to us. We don't do much of that anymore with the text line, but we like the text line, 805-543-3693. He says he saved a ton of money because his wife and kids are not having to drive to work and school.
Yeah.
And think
of all the people working from home. Like, yeah, you may have taken a pay cut, but the fact that you're not having to maintain your vehicles, maybe, or put gas in them and drive.
Right. He says that the icing on the cake was no income loss in his family, and he also didn't have to spend a bunch of money on vacation, but he also got that stimulus money that everybody got. So he said he's doing a lot better. It's funny because, I think it's all about how you approach things. Now, I realize that some people were laid off. But then some people also chose to be laid off. Some people, I know that I've talked to people that are managers or owners of companies, and they tried to get people to come back, and they decided to not go back to work because of the fear that they would get their family sick. And they were making just as much, if not a little bit more money by staying at home from government assistance. So,
will the Tennessee Titans get government assistance? Or is the NFL?
I don't think the Tennessee Titans need.
It was three players and 5 personnel of the team, which is I would think that players outnumber personnel, so the personnel needs to go back to COVID school and wash their hands a little bit better, maybe wear their masks a little bit more around the players, because now you've infected 3 players, guys. Like, I just picture the guys that are deflating the balls for Tom Brady. Walking around, slapping each other on the necks.
Listen, I know you played football in high school. I played football in high school. We've been a part of, sports teams, and even when you're the crew and you're the staff and you're working with laundry, and it's just, I'm not going to judge anybody playing a sport and being in a team atmosphere in a locker room. No matter what we don't know what these staff guys are. Maybe they're the guys that do the laundry and they got it from one of the guys and then spread it to the other guys doing the laundry. I just don't know. Maybe it's the guy that's the worst that job. Wipes down the weights, because I'm pretty sure NFL players, when they go to the gym, they don't have to wipe down their equipment.
Right,
they have somebody that does it for them. I know it was at the college level.
It's nasty.
I mean, there are so many staff members that work in that gym.
How come Mike Rowe never did a dirty jobs about cleaning in an NFL locker room?
Right?
Because that would have been gross. I mean, just think about the smell of the locker room after a football game, how bad it was in high school. Oh, it was terrible. It was the worst. And you're like, just swimming around and all that. That smell comes from something. It's bacteria, okay?
Right. Santa Maria Frank writes in. He says liquor stores are probably killing it. I mean, everybody's drinking, right? Jim from Squirrels Tractor says, "What about all the gun stores? They're raking it in. People are selling guns and buying guns. It's funny because normally we hear so much about guns, especially around a political season where there would be things passed about gun laws or whatever, and that's something we haven't heard. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe there's too many other distractions going on."
Gun stores are killing it right now.
Number one ZZ Top fans, he says he hasn't had to pay his student loans back. What, we could get out of that? We have a friend that we were talking to.
Some people can.
That's doing a rent deferment type thing where what was he saying? He only has to pay a small percentage of his rent until February, and then he has to start paying it all back. He has a year to pay it back.
He has to pay it all back.
See, that's
dangerous proposition.
Yeah,
because here's the thing: your employer is cut, your wage. They're going to be slower to get back to the jump than your landlord is going to be to get back to the jump. But you could always walk, too, and be like, okay, I'm going to go live somewhere else, which I think might happen in the state of California. I think a lot of Californians might become residents of other states.
You were telling me that the governor of California, Newsom, was trying to pass about people that have money that are leaving the state.
Passed it.
It is
an executive order.
When does it go into effect?
I think maybe next year.
Maybe January?
Yeah, I think if you were worth more than $30 million, if you decided to move to another state, that you would have to pay, it was 0.4% of your annual earnings back to the state of California.
Over how many years?
Even if over 10 years. So if you move
Are you kidding me? How does he do that?
I might be misquoting this, but that's in the ballpark of what the deal is. And like that, so say you move to Tennessee, because you're such a big fan of the Titans and their coronavirus problems.
And it's cheaper to live and operate your business.
Yeah, and then you would owe the state of California 0.4% of your earnings for the next 10 years.
But only if you make, over $30 million? Or I'm sorry.
I think if you were worth $30 million when you left the state, or something ridiculous like that.
By the way, don't take everything we say for fact. Just Jeff and I having coffee.
I will never sniff $30 million, so when I heard about it, I thought, that's pretty stupid, and then I moved on.
He was at last night talking about there's a new test to get kids back to school. Well, they can have the result in 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes, yeah.
So, they can test a kid. He waits 15 minutes. He passes, he's in. You fail, you go home. I wish they would have done that for lice when I was a kid.
But you brought a very good point this morning. You're like, well, they played on Sunday. It's only Tuesday. Really, theoretically, if anybody had contact with these Titans players on the Vikings squad, that could not manifest itself until next week. Later next week. Like Sunday of next week, based on what we know on the virus. So really, if they're doing their due diligence and being safe and not trying to get a money grab on this, wouldn't the Vikings be out 2 weeks? As well as the Titans be out 2 weeks?
You would think so.
But who knows? Because Major League Baseball has disproved that, and they were able to get around it. So I'm sure National Football League will take a look and see how Major League Baseball dealt with it with the Cardinals, with the Marlins when it happened early on in the season, and kind of proceed in the same type of fashion.
So once again, 8 Titans have it, 5 coaches, 3 players. They played the Vikings. We haven't got results from Minnesota yet, but obviously looking for that to be an issue moving forward for the teams that they were going to play coming up this week.
Houston's a 4-point favorite over the Minnesota Vikings at Houston. If Minnesota travels, does that number move up?
Most likely. Hashtag Stanley Cup Finals.
And trying to get there, and they got a trigger pull of a shot that went wide that time was Goodrow. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup.
Here's Doc Emmerich talking about the win.
Concluding a 2-month period of tremendous competition. Unity among all the players, both on and away from the bubble rinks. Game 130, day 59. One team will get their names on the trophy. The other disappointed. But deep in the heart of Texas, what a gallant performance by the team in green.
Now, these teams have been away from their families for 2 months, 60 days, whatever. Is this something that coaches maybe will push for moving forward if they could get their way to keep the distractions away from winning, from moving forward? Think about it. If you could keep your team together, no distractions, and all they do is focus on what their job is, how much better a performance are you going to get out of each player?
So you're not as big a Karate Kid fan or Cobra Kai fan as I am.
No, I am definitely not as big. A fan, but not as big.
Part of the tenets of Miyagi-Do Karate is balance. It's balance.
Balance, Daniel-san.
Balance. No. Balance here. Balance here. You need balance. And the coach of the Lightning was talking about it last night after the game, and it was interesting because he said, he seemed exhausted. And he's like, and relieved that his team won, but he seemed exhausted, and he started listing off all the things that they missed out on, like spending time with family and following other things going on in pop culture, and all these things that were non-existent to the Lightning players because all they were doing was focusing on winning a Stanley Cup. And I don't think that balance was there for them, so I don't think that this is something that we could see moving forward. And I hope it's not, because it's not fun to watch games without fans at it. It's just not.
No, we need fans. I was listening to a coach yesterday talk about, and it was Pete Carroll in Seattle, and obviously Seattle is known for the 12s and all the noise, and that they're getting used to actually not playing with the fans there. But gosh, they can't wait till you can have them back, because it's a big deal. It's a big deal for a team to have their fans there when they're playing at home. So, but balance, Danielson.
Yes.
Something to remember. The debate is tonight, presidential debate. We got President Donald Trump taking on Joe Biden, former Vice President Joe Biden. It's going to be on Fox. Chris Wallace, who does Fox News Sunday. It's the Sunday talk show about politics. He'll be doing the moderating tonight. People are making a big deal because they're not going to shake. They said that every presidential debate, they've shaken hands, except for when Trump went up with Hillary. Apparently, they didn't shake. But then they at the beginning, but they shook at the end.
You know what they should
Why
do?
is the handshake such a big deal?
You know what
Who
they
cares?
need to do?
What do they need to? What?
It's going to be a second reference. Karate Kid and Cobra Kai.
Balance?
No.
Oh.
You do the thing where when you face off against your opponent, you bow.
Oh, you bow.
You bow.
Oh, yeah, like the Chinese.
Bow.
We've talked about that before.
But you remember in Karate Kid.
I don't think Donald Trump would ever do something from the Chinese culture.
When Johnny Lawrence bowed for Daniel LaRusso in the Karate Kid at the All Valley tournament in 1984, the bow was a very disrespectful. And Jeremy's the only one that can see this, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And Jeremy's probably forgotten, but this was Johnny Lawrence's bow. Then he got into fight position.
That's right. Just a quick head nod.
Who would do the Johnny Lawrence bow tonight? Biden or Trump? I'm definitely thinking it's going to be Trump on the Johnny Lawrence bow.
Yeah, maybe that hair would move a little.
And then he would sweep the leg. And if that happens, I can't wait for tonight's debate.
I don't think that's going to happen. The chances of them getting into some sort of physical encore or fight or altercation is probably is what are the odds? Is there any bets on the presidential debate in Vegas? Have you looked into that?
You can't quantify it. You can't quantify it. It's all like, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody that takes some bets somehow. like how many times somebody's interrupted, or they go over their allotted time to make their statements.
Do you think there's really anybody out there that hasn't picked a side at this point, that is still trying to wait and see? I just feel like this is the one, debate, the one year that this is probably not the case. I think everybody's already picked their sides. Now they just want to go in and see who can outwit the other. It's interesting. It's so different than in years past. And maybe that's, where I sit on the whole thing, but I'm just like, it doesn't feel like this is really a time where either candidate is going to win over people that haven't made up their mind yet.
Don't you think they should come out in karate gis tonight?
And what?
Karate gi.
With the ropes?
Yeah.
Is that what?
That's what the
oh, I didn't know that was called. I wrestled. I wore a slinglet. I don't know what a karate gi is. What is it called?
A karate gi.
A karate gi?
Yeah. Shouldn't they wear that tonight?
Maybe save that for Saturday Night Live.
Like a red and a blue one. Be nice.
3.3 KZOZ Rock.
Congratulations again going out to John Cartwright. He goes by Haas in the Red Zone Challenge. Our Week 3 winner picks up $25 to Pappy McGregor's and is on his way to win some free cash, maybe a trip to Hawaii. You can still play, KZOZ.com.
What the Titans players are saying to their personnel right now. Don't stand so close to me. Please don't stand so close to me.
Yeah, but line up across from me and spit in my face when we play. I'm not surprised it took this long, but I knew it was sooner or later. I mean, with what baseball went through, especially in the earlier part, then it seemed like it tapered off or even almost disappeared. But yeah, I'm not surprised. And it's a different sport in that, they're all right on top of each other, literally. So.
Yeah. And there's a lot of players that get circled in, circled out. You're making changes.
Way more players.
There's injuries. I mean, what if you got what if just a what if scenario? Okay, so Tyrod Taylor had his lung punctured by a pregame injection on the rib by the doctor accidentally.
Oops.
Of the Chargers. What if there was coronavirus kicking around a situation in which a recovery like that can't be an easy recovery because you
got a lung down.
So you got a lung down, and then you get struck with the virus.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of things that aren't considered. I mean, there's coronavirus, but there's other diseases that are still out there, and there sicknesses and injuries. Yeah, broken legs and what?
Yeah, that this could, sorry for the pun, but pile on to, complicate things even more so when it comes to the health and safety of NFL football players.
But I guess they had to try. And then I think what some of the colleges saw that the pros were doing well and said, let's give it a shot.
Right. No, I noticed it was funny. I saw a statement last night that said, the Vanderbilt athletic director is dialing back his earlier statement. The Vanderbilt's a widely respected private university for having
no Commodores. Are you saying no Commodores?
Commodores. They're dialing back in-person fans at the game. They will be able to go to the game when they face the defending national champion LSU Tigers. On October, I think, 6th or October
6th is what it'll be.
9th or something like that. That's the first game that fans are going to be able to go to.
When you played that hockey clip, I'd forgotten there was hockey. That's how in tune I guess I am. And so it did just end yesterday?
Last night. Yeah, I think most people did. I don't know.
Did you root for the Tampa Bay Lightning because the North Stars?
No, I gave up on hockey when there was no team in Minnesota and 2 in Florida. Yeah, sorry, not my game anymore. If you can't grow ice there, you shouldn't have a team.
So you were a Stars fan growing up, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
And the North Stars.
North Stars, yeah. I didn't go to Dallas with them. That's when they won the Cup.
So you did not follow them to their next destination?
No.
It never happens.
There's no ice down there either, really. So, Jeremy, you're talking about not shaking hands at the debate?
Yeah, they're not going to shake hands.
As a wrestler, did you ever have anybody leave you? You don't really shake hands. You kind of touch hands before every...
I've heard somebody say wrestle in a long time.
I know.
We used to have an assistant coach who's like, all right, wrestle.
Ready,
wrestle? Make me laugh. It's like, what the hell's wrong with you?
The guy in the sport shouldn't use it.
Yeah, we would shake hands before every match.
I mean, a lot of times it wasn't a full-on shake. It was just kind of a, right? Yeah. Because otherwise you'd be tempted, I'd be tempted to pull a guy, pull him off balance.
Well, you got to wait for the ref to blow the whistle, but yeah.
And one-upmanship. Because there is a thing, you can do that if you hold your hand close and the other guy has to reach, that puts him off balance and you just yank.
I like how the boss, the guy that's told you what to do for the last 5 minutes, gets together at the end of the match and holds your hand. That's always fun.
To raise it, you mean? Yeah. Well, either win or lose, he's got a hold of your hand.
The boss?
Yeah.
Well, the referee.
The referee. The guy that's been ordering you around.
The guy that when you're on your back, you heard that sound?
He doesn't order you around. He just keeps score.
Yeah, right. He tells you what to do. He tells one of them.
I swear, you know nothing about wrestling stuff.
Keep busy.
He tells one of the wrestlers to get down on all fours while the other wrestler gets behind him, and then he holds your hands at the end.
They don't tell you that. It just happens. You just know.
You remember the origin of the sport where they didn't wear clothes? Yeah.
You need to go. You need to read up on your wrestling. You're way far off. It's just like saying that a referee in basketball tells you to shoot a three-pointer.
Yeah, stop traveling.
It's just that's how the match goes.
Yeah.
All right, you kick off from a certain point in football, and after the first round, you get down on the referee's position.
Nobody's holding my hand after basketball
they
game.
will tell you to stay busy. If you're like they think you're stalling or something, they'll tell both wrestlers.
Come on.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Get after each other, guys. Come
the
on.
bigger guys always would lock up and.
Yeah.
Get after each other, guys. We need to hold hands at the end of this.
And it doesn't help to call it riding.
Does your wife and kids find you this funny? You know, the only one laughing is you at yourself.
No, I'm laughing at Seth. He's the one that's making it funny.
No, you're laughing at yourself.
That's right. I forgot.
I covered this stuff for years.
I forgot they call it riding.
It's tough.
Okay, now that
sometimes.
you guys
Straight
are riding
face.
at each other for 5 minutes, let's get together and I'll hold your hand.
All right, Seth, enjoy the rest of your day.
Gov.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning on 93.3 KZOZ.